my friends, and welcome back to Storytime here on Build-A-Bear Radio. I'm Victoria, here with my friend Floppity Bunny, and we're continuing our seasonal countdown of the 12 books of Storytime. Today, we're going to start with Paris Rosenthal, telling us all about her book, Dear Baby. Hello, Paris.
Hi, my name is Paris Rosenthal, and I'm thrilled to be here reading my latest children's book, Dear Baby, illustrated by Holly Hatam. Dear Baby is a love letter written to the special baby in your life. It is a reminder to little ones that the world is big and bright, and there is no limit to what they can be, where they can go, or what they can do. The book can be purchased in bookstores around the world, but right now, some of the best places to get a copy are online at HarperCollins.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or Amazon, to name a few. Or, I encourage you to visit indiebound.org to support your local independent bookstore. If you're looking for another book like this one, you can check out the first two books in this series, Dear Girl, a collaboration between me and my mom, Amy Krause Rosenthal, as well as Dear Boy, written by me and my dad, Jason B. Rosenthal. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you enjoy this reading of Dear Baby. Dear Baby, welcome to this big, beautiful world. It shines brighter now that you are in it. Dear Baby, be curious. Dear Baby, it's okay to make mistakes. Get back up and make your mark. Dear Baby, there are many ways to say thank you. Try them all. Dear Baby, put yourself in someone else's shoes. You'll go far. Dear Baby, explore, explore, explore. There is always more. Dear Baby, remember your roots and spread your branches far and wide. Dear Baby, you know what's really great? Not taking yourself too seriously. Seriously. Dear Baby, never be afraid to break down walls and build bridges. Dear Baby, sometimes you will need to speak up. Sometimes you will need to listen. And sometimes you'll need to do a little bit of both. Dear Baby, feeling stuck? Remember, some things in life take baby steps. Dear Baby, wiggle and giggle like no one is watching, even if someone is watching. Dear Baby, look up. Each star is a spark of possibility. Dear Baby, you are exactly who, what, and where you are supposed to be. Dear Baby, I'll always be a helping hand, but you will paint your own picture. Dear Baby, I hope your dreams come true. Mine did when I met you. Dear Baby, you are ready for this big, beautiful world, and I can't wait to see all that you will do. Most of all, dear baby who I love, Know that even when we are apart, I will always, always, always be here for you. The end.
Thank you, Paris. I think that's good advice for everybody, not just for babies. We could all do with wiggling just a little bit more. We've got a change of place now, though, because Cara Hoffman is going to introduce us to her friend the frog, Tubs Marshfield. Hello, Carol. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and introduce us to your froggy friend?
Hi, I'm Cara Hoffman. I've written several award-winning books for adults and children. I live in New York City, and sometimes I live in Athens, Greece. Right now, I'd like to bring you a couple chapters of my new book, The Ballad of Tubs Marshfield. Part 1. Songs for a Vanishing Swamp. Chapter 1. Tubbs was the brightest, the greenest, a frog among frogs, ready to burst into song. He sported a gold and crimson vest and smiled like he had just heard a joke. Tubbs could be counted on. His eyes were the color of the sun setting over the water, and he could swim from day to night and back again. Tubbs made his home in the roots of an old mangrove tree. Cattails grew wild in the shallow water by the porch where his boat was moored. On windy days, he would watch them dancing, their long, slender bodies bowing over the marsh, all of them humming the same tune. Spider lily and trumpet vines climbed the walls of his house, the scent of their flowers drifting through the swamp like a distant melody. The swamp was so serene, few ever ventured into the wider world. Even the birds who could fly great distances stayed put. Everything they needed was right there. The roof of Tubbs's house was open to let in the wind, sun, and stars. Inside, the walls were lined with jars of dried bluebottle flies and bright red rose mallow wine, which he served on special occasions. Tubbs's trombone, washboard, jaw harp, and clarinet lay out in the living room, ready to use. His piano, which was missing quite a few keys, grinned out from beneath a pile of papers, pots and pans, and fishing poles. Above his kitchen sink, Tubbs had hung a portrait of his Aunt Elodie, rest her soul, who had traveled as far as New Orleans and was known for having the most beautiful voice in all the swamp. Life was a song for Tubbs. During the day, he hopped among the reeds and sawgrass, or put on high rubber boots and went fishing, sitting on the bank with the dragonflies and snapping turtles. Sometimes he cooled in the dark water, sheltered by tall cypresses and the lush leaves of the mangrove trees. At midday, you could find him drifting just beneath the surface of the swamp, his gold eyes gazing towards the hot blue heaven of the Louisiana sky. But nothing compared to life when the sun went down and the music of the night rose up all around. The song of the water and the stones, the song of the cicadas and the leaves, the song of the ground and the paws, the howl of the fox and the wind, the near silence of moths and rabbits, a symphony of rustling and pauses, of fluttering and digging, the birds singing their warbled questions to the night, the fish's bright splash like a faint cymbal crash, and down in the hollows of the mangroves, in the houses of the frogs, a night of reeling and song that would last until dawn. Frogs in their boats, frogs on their porches, frogs in the mud and in the branches of trees, and Tubbs at the center of it all, his house open to the world. Tubbs loved the swamp at night, especially the summer, that he still had a tail, and Aunt Elodie wore her crown of lightning bugs, and the mud and reeds smelled wonderful, and little fires blazed over the water in the distance. Elodie had a daughter named Lila, who was Tubbs's favorite cousin, and the two did everything together. When they were still small, they would jump off the dock, pretending they could fly. They swam in the cool water and trekked through the forest of cattails. They fished near the garden of lily pads and talked to the water rats and ducks. Well, Tubbs made up songs and dances and learned how to play just about any instrument. Lila read books. She liked to tell people things they didn't know and fix things that were broken. In the evening, they would talk to the swallows who came out to play as the last rays of sun shimmered over the surface of the swamp. At night, they would lie in the red and white boat together, looking up at the stars, eating mayflies, and falling asleep to the high, sweet sound and to the low, bass drawl of their aunts and uncles and cousins and great-uncles and parents and step-parents and godparents and nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters. Dozens of generations of frogs, all living in the same place, spotted and speckled, green and yellow and mottled brown, large and small. "Just look at that moon," said Tubbs one evening in early June. "How can anyone keep quiet when it's shining so silver?" "That song they're singing now," Lila told him, "is 265 million years old." She poked him and he grinned. "Did you hear me? It's the first song our ancestors made up." Tubbs listened for a minute. 265 million years was a long time to be singing the same song. It made him want to go get his clarinet and make up something new. "You can't make up something new," Lila said. "Every bit of water on earth is the same water that was here to begin with, and we're all made of the creatures who came before us, and microscopic beings inhabit every inch of us." "Huh?" said Tubbs. Lila said, "It's hard to improve on 'Kiss Me, I'm the Fattest.' If there was a better song, someone would have written it by now. Anyway," Lila said, "look at this." She pulled a letter from her pocket and handed it to Tubbs. "I haven't shown anyone yet." It was postmarked with a fancy blue and yellow seal, an image of a hand reaching out of the sky holding a book. Tubbs unfolded the letter and read. It made his skin feel dry. It was from a place called the Sorbonne, which as far as he could tell was not in Louisiana. He looked up at Lila. "Where is this place?" "In Paris," she said. "It's a school." "Where's Paris?" "It's across a big salt pond." At first Tubbs thought he might cry. Thinking about Lila leaving was awful, but then he looked at the letter again and his heart soared for his cousin's good news. "Lila!" Tubbs shouted, jumping to his feet. "Lila, this is amazing! Elodie!" he called from the boat, waving the letter above his head. "Elodie, break out the rosemallow wine! Break out the blue bottles! Lila is going to school! Everyone! Everyone! Lila is going to school!" Tubbs remembered Lila's face that night, how happy she was, and how proud Aunt Elodie was, and how long the party lasted, and how they changed the words of that old song to "Kiss Me, I'm the Smartest," and how Lila explained to them that it didn't technically make it a new song if you changed one word, and how he ate too many blue bottles, and how the turtles came over to offer the congratulations, and an owl flew down and stood on the banks of the marshy expanse and talked seriously to Lila, and how the bullfrogs puffed out their necks when she walked by. But the thing he remembered the most was how she smiled. He had never seen Lila smile the way she had that night, when she was about to leave the place he loved the most. Chapter 2. That was a long time ago now, and many things had changed. Tubbs and Lila were grown, and Elodie was gone. While Tubbs lived in the same neighborhood, Lila had traveled far and learned things frogs in the swamp could only dream about. Tubbs let the cool water carry him to the boat dock, where 3 water rats sat quietly smoking corncob pipes and fishing. One was larger than the rest and had grizzled hair and an unruly beard. Tubbs hopped out and felt the warm sun on his skin. He scratched a small itchy bump on the side of his head. "Any luck, Virgil?" he asked the rat. "Luck's a funny thing," said Virgil. Tubbs thought for a second and grinned. He had just the song to cheer Virgil up. Tubbs slapped his wet foot on the dock for a count of 4, took a deep breath, and then burst out in a reedy voice that rang through the swamp as clear and bright as a bell. "I know a rat who liked to sail in sun and rain and wind and hail. He built a boat of reeds and mud, and a torn shower curtain and a Persian rug. He sailed due north all through the night, a lonely firefly his only light. He docked in ports along the coast. He served a barking seal French toast, and all the fish and all the whales and all the wind and all the sails and all the bats and all the cats and all the crawfish who had laughed came to sing him home again. braver than most, my ratty friend. Tubbs clapped his hands and skipped about the dock. He hopped and clicked his heels together, then bounded forward in a high pirouette and landed in front of the rats, laughing. "What do you think?" "Tubbs," Virgil said, "I ain't built no boat out of mud." "Nah," said one of the other rats. "Boat like that would just fall apart." "It's a song," said Tubbs, "not instructions for building a boat." "Hey, Tubbs," said one of the rats, shifting the corncob pipe to the other side of his mouth. "Could you hand me that can of worms?" "Rats," Tubbs muttered to himself, chuckling as he left Virgil and his friends on the dock. He headed inland through the reeds to the frog hospital at the base of the giant cypress tree. Tubbs stopped by the hospital most days to visit Lila and bring her some lunch. She was a doctor now and very busy. The waiting room was filled with frogs and toads and crawfish and a tired-looking woodpecker who was missing some feathers. "Morning, Maud," Tubbs said to the small red-eyed tree frog who was holding a monogrammed handkerchief to her nose. Maud must have had quite a cold, because she was still wearing her pajamas and slippers, and not her usual hat or string of pearls. "Morning, Bernadette," he said to a crawfish whose antennae were drooping. "Morning, Tubbs," said Bernadette. On his way to Lila's office, Tubbs stopped in to say hello to a swallow named Gloria, who worked in the lab. Gloria had shining black eyes and a look of keen intelligence. Her feathers were glossy and dark blue. She had short legs and slender pointed wings, and always wore a tie and a jacket. Gloria was the only bird from their part of the swamp who had flown around the world. She knew many languages. Tubbs liked the way she turned her head to the side quickly when she was listening, and the almost weightless way she bobbed along when she walked. No one looked more awake than Gloria. Tubbs leaned in the doorway. Gloria looked up quickly and gave him a wink. He noticed that her feathers looked a little dull and ruffled today, and her tie was loosened around her throat. "Tubbs," she called in her beautiful voice, "have I told you the joke about the roof? Actually, never mind. It would be way over your head." She chirped out a little laugh and then started coughing. Tubbs found Lila back in her office. She was wearing her lab coat and was hunched over a microscope. She looked up to greet him, and the smile she wore was thin. Her eyes looked tired and worried. "Tubbs," she said, I can't eat lunch with you today. I have too many patients. The whole swamp is coming down with the same cold, especially the birds and the fish and the frogs. I spent the morning handing out cough medicine and anti-itch cream." "Well, you gotta eat something," Tubbs said. He reached into his pocket and brought out a red bandana, which he unfolded and set on her desk. From his other pocket, he took out a small jar of spicy mayflies and a little bottle of bog birch soda, which he set on top of the bandana. "Thanks, Tubbs," Lila said. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Tubbs pulled out a harmonica from his vest pocket and played her a song while she ate. As he played, he thought about all the broken things Lila had fixed since they were young. It was a long list. His radio, Elodie's teapot, Virgil's fishing pole, Bernadette's claw, the gate to the water rat's boathouse. Tubbs's song had no words, but the way he played it, you could tell it was about Lila fixing and building things. You could just hear it in the harmonies. And though it was a new song, one he'd just made up, it felt familiar and old. When Tubbs was done playing, Lila's eyes looked brighter, and she didn't seem too tired. He knew she felt better because she began explaining how the microscope worked to him, but Tubbs couldn't really listen because a new song was sailing into his thoughts. "That's amazing," he said to his cousin, walking closer to the door. "How about that?" he said, turning the knob. "I wonder who thinks of these things," he called as he skipped down the hallway and back out to the reeds. A new song was nothing to ignore. He had to get home and capture it before it got away.
Wow, thanks for introducing us to all the characters at the swamp, Carol. I feel like I know Tubbs, Lila, and all of the others so well already. I'm really looking forward to finding out what this new song's about. That's all we have time for today. So Floppity Bunny and I are saying goodbye until next time, here on the 12 Books of Storytime on Build-A-Bear Radio. See you soon!